Bro, what the fuck? Get egged. I tried to reach out my pixel hand and address you with sympathy and understanding. I was only after the truth, but you forced me to act. I thought that maybe after my last video on this topic, you would, I don't know, stop this madness? But since then, it's only gotten worse. I don't know if you've seen the video, but with these recent developments, it feels like an attack. If you haven't seen my last video about Danny Gonzalez, well, there's no point in me telling you to watch it, because it's wrong. Danny Gonzalez, ex-Viner, current YouTube sensation, comedian, gamer, actor, musician, and imposter. You know who he is, or at least you think you do. I thought I did. I thought I cracked the case that he, Danny Gonzalez, was the forgotten son of his witch mom, his vampire papa, and his vampire stepdad. Yeah, okay, maybe you do want to go watch the other video for context because I will not be re-explaining everything. And that part was true, he is Groot, but for simplicity, we'll stick with calling him Danny. The past was true, the stories about vampire dad and papa and witch mom were all true, give or take, but he blindsided us all. Danny is much trickier than we give him credit for. You know, we always give him shit for his bad disguises, but this secret must be spoken, because there are certain people out there who deserve to know. And together, we'll reveal the dark truth.
Danny, Dan, and Neil, the sons, the brothers, the enemies. Dan and Neil's birth took their mother's attention away from him, and Danny didn't like that very much. Neil was easier to tolerate, but attached to his hip was Dan. With Neil came Dan, with Dan came headaches. Dan was always flirting with Danny's girlfriends. Did Dan want Danny's girlfriends? Hell no. But did he want to make Danny's life hell? Hell yes. And in turn, Danny took him to hell. In 2011, October 31st.
November 1st, 2011.
November 1st, 2011.
Don't look up don't look up any police reports from that date. November 1st, 2011.
Is that a significant date or anything?
Not to me. No, not to me as far as anyone can prove.
It was Halloween night. Dan always threw ragers on Halloween. With the help of Vampire Daddy's money and his submarine, it was possible to throw parties out of this world. Or below it, but that doesn't sound as cool. Parties that everyone attends.
A submarine, I might pull up in a submarine. Submarine, ayy, submarine so cold, all these bitches wanna ride. Like an underwater limo, but it's super cramped inside.
One of those party goers was a girl Danny was head over heels for. In Love of the Creeper isn't about Neil and some random friend, it's Neil and Danny. Notice how Danny in this situation immediately goes to battling it out. This shows that he's the aggressor in this scenario.
I think I found my new bae.
Oh no way, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh that's tight, dude you gotta meet her.
My girl too, she's a Minecraft creeper.
Holy shit, I think we fell for the same chick.
That's impossible, who she gon' pick?
Should we battle like Liam Neeson?
Not necessary if we have a threesome.
But wait, I thought we've established that Dan is the aggressive type. He still is. Let's go back in time a little bit, before this Halloween night that changed the course of the vampire witch family forever. 'Twas a cold and dreary night, no friend nor foe in sight. If you look past the shadows, you may be able to save yourself a fright. But Danny, unfortunately, did not. Dan grew tired of having Danny around. He scared his little brother Neil, and no one got to scare Neil. So Dan did what he thought best. He asked, nay, demanded, Vampire Dad take care of Danny once and for all. Like many other bullies in his son's lives, Danny was sleeping with the fishes.
First grade I had a bully, he was straight dissing. Asked the principal for help, but he wouldn't listen. Told my dad, next day they were both missing. Like Shape of Water, they were sleeping with
But
fishes.
Danny couldn't stay dead for long. His mother was a witch, after all. What did Dan and Vampire Dad expect? His mother was distraught. She may not have given Danny all the attention he needed, but she was still his mother. She was unaware of how he died. She wouldn't even suspect it was her husband and son. So, she cast a spell to find out the truth. Unfortunately, she didn't get her answer. Not until now. What she got were cryptic messages, not told to her through tarot, a Ouija board, or words scrawled in blood. The information came through an unusual medium, YouTube, and we were caught in the crossfire. The reason he's been able to fool us for so long isn't just because he's an evil mastermind. It's because we, as his viewers, are narrow-minded losers.
Loser? I hardly know him.
Nice job!
Danny isn't the only one hiding secrets in lyrics. Ladies, gentlemen, and pals of varying identities, you know him, you love him, the mayor of Kurtis Town. But, Wozy, in the last video you said we would only be looking at songs on Danny Gonzalez's playlist. Why are you bringing Kurtis Kano into this? Doesn't this go against the rules? That bit wasn't funny to begin with, shut the fuck up. Kurtis has not only starred in a couple of songs with Danny, but he's also released music of his own. Those 3 songs being Blood Related, True Story, a Pinocchio diss track, and The Real Tarzan. 2 of those songs are so similar it's not even funny, but all 3 songs have one thing in common. They're bangers. Oh, and they're also sung by Dan. Kurtis Connor is the Dan to Danny Gonzalez's Danny. That's not confusing at all. But let me explain. Like I said, 2 of these songs are quite similar, and that is obviously the 2 songs about Disney characters. Broken down, they both talk about how they're the real one and someone is pretending to be them.
Who the fuck is claiming to be the real Tarzan? I'm the real Tarzan, bitch. My dad is a monkey. I'm Tarzan. You're Lil Xan.
Oh, you think you're the real Pinocchio? That's a fucking lie, dude. Here's a true story.
Hey, look, I'm sick and tired of these bitches thinking they the ones.
Not only are these songs insulting whoever's trying to be him, they're aggressive in nature and taunting. Especially in The Real Tarzan, when Dan claims he's stealing this imposter's girl. Which is why we said that Dan likes to flirt and steal Danny's girlfriends.
I got your girl and she all on my tree. She wants to get her belt unbuckled. I don't wear belts. She calling me the MVP. She drew the walk of shame on her knuckles. I'm the real thing, you an imitation. I'm chilling with...
But wait, earlier I said that Kurtis, in the context of In Love with the Creeper, is Neil. They're twins. They look the same, but it's clear to tell them apart by their mannerisms and speech. And every single one of Kurtis's solo songs scream Dan behavior, including Blood Related, a song where he claims to love a girl, leads her on, but ultimately can't be with her. Instead, he falls for her brother and loves him more. The reason Dan doesn't actually want Danny's girlfriends is because he's gay. Like, gay. Like, for real. Did you think a man who laughs like this is straight?
Jane said you last 6 seconds.
But who could be the imposter Dan continues to call out and diss in his tracks? They have to be someone he enjoys taunting, someone he hates. I'm sure it comes to no surprise for me to tell you that it's Danny.
Danny's body may be decomposed and half-eaten by fishes, still shackled to the bottom of the ocean Vampire Dad threw him into, but his soul lingered. Danny was angry. He was vengeful. He wanted to make everyone who wronged him pay.
I'm gonna be a mean ghost, a real scary ghost, whoa.
For any true music connoisseurs out there, you'll have recognized that wasn't a Danny Gonzalez or a Kurtis Connor song. That was Ned Flames, or what his true fans call him, the OG alpha brain, lyrical genius, Fox Season. As Jaden Castor and every other person on the planet would like you to believe, Danny Gonzalez and Fox Season are 2 different people. Because that's what he wants you to think. Wake up! You're all falling into his trap by separating these 2 beings. After all, why would we hold Danny accountable for what Fox Season says and does? How he admits in his songs that he took his revenge. Before we get into the juicy stuff, let's talk about Circus. This song was made to trick and manipulate the everyday person. There isn't much lore significance other than Danny testing his methods, to see how much trickery he'd have to put into his ruse to make everyone believe it. One could argue that the song is about the girl Danny was in love with, who went to the party with Dan. In fact, I will argue that, because that is what the song is about. I tricked ya. Let's circle back to this in a moment. Last Night, featuring 3 Drinks, holds so much lore it's insane. Here are the biggest key points about Last Night. First, Fox Season doesn't have any money, meaning he isn't the same entity in Nepo Baby.
I've been working all week, still can't make ends meet.
Second, he knows he's going to die tonight. Third, he's no stranger to manipulating others.
Tell the DJ to play my song, cause I might die tonight. He might feel bad if I'm gonna die tonight, and he might just play my song. And I'm sobbing at the bar, begging girls to buy me shots, threatening to haunt them if they don't.
Lastly,
Boobies!
He pretends to be someone he's not. He pretends to be a good guy, making amends with his parents, going to church, but also committing premeditated murder on his mailman. And what are mailmen for? That's right, delivering messages. This line isn't just a silly one-off line. Danny is threatening me. He's threatening Jaden Castor, Shalaman, and any other critical thinker who tries to find out the truth behind who he is.
The mailman isn't the only person Danny is killing in this song. Three Drinks and Fox Season might be singing the same words, but their meanings are entirely different. We've established recently that Kurtis is the face for Dan and Neil, and in this song, it's no different. Between the existential dread of Neil,
It's the last night of my life, I gotta make it count. I'm not gonna cry. Sorry, there's a lot on my mind, like where do we go when we die? Is it dark? Can I watch movies?
and the carefree nature of Dan,
I'm at the strip club trying to see some boobies.
as well as Neil's pathetic loser beta behavior,
I am truly burdened with this knowledge. Wish I partied more in college. Now I'm 40 and about to die. There's a ton of stuff I was too scared to try, like dark chocolate,
and Dan's reckless nature.
drunk driving. Now I do both and it's so exciting.
It's safe to say that they're both present and they seem to be much less prepared for what's happening. His verses talk about simple, quick and easy tasks that he can do before dying: drunk driving and having dark chocolate. Two things that could be done in a submarine during a Halloween party, where there was alcohol, candy, and a vehicle to drive drunk. While Danny had time to plan whatever his last night meant. You see, Dan and Neil's last night was the end of their life, and Danny's last night was the end of his death. In the same Russian waters Danny's body perished, Dan held his Halloween party. It was the perfect time for Danny's vengeful spirit to do what he needed to do. He possesses Dan, driving the submarine recklessly. His one goal? To crash and take everyone who dared party with Dan to the grave, including the girl Danny had been in love with. We told you we'd talk a little bit more about Circus. It's a song where Danny tells us he's killed the girl who's made him feel stupid for loving, made him feel like a clown for being in a relationship with her. He bought her shoes, he gave her jewelry, only for her to want Cali dudes.
Take a trip out to Malibu, cause I know you like Cali, dude. And when I buy her a box of shoes, she wanna hop on pop like it's Dr. Seuss. A fucking clown, and you gon' join the circus. You know I'm a hoe, but I know you ain't perfect. Baby, if I'm a dick, then tell me why I make you nervous.
Because he felt like a clown for loving her, he was gonna make her feel just as stupid for leaving him. She was gonna join the circus. This line
It go bop, bop, bop like she popped a fuse, and I'm a fox, so she on the news.
is him talking about the morning after the crash. That fateful morning, November 1st, 2011. That morning Danny had killed Neil, Dan's spirit, and took their body for his own. And since then, Danny has been pretending to be Dan and Neil, which is easy to do, as there's only one body, because Dan's body never existed. Assuming you've seen my last video, there was something that went unsaid. I mentioned Neil experiences hallucinations, but that never really went anywhere. Well, now it does. Something he's been too afraid to come to terms with. Neil has DID, and Dan is his alter meant to protect him from the scary reality of his life. Dan was there for him ever since he was a kid, manifesting as his brother figure he would play with, and Witch Mom assured no one would ever tell Neil any different, allowing him to live blissfully unaware. Nepo Baby is Danny taking on the personality of Dan. It's like a grown-up version of those rich kid songs on Danny Gonzalez's playlist. Because, well, all of them have grown up. One song on the old playlist has always been a little odd to me. It came out after I wrote my last video script I had been working on for a while, and I had to fit it in somewhere. But it never fit quite right. Not until now. I Ghosted Kevin Jonas is so clearly Danny bragging about ghosting, killing his brothers. All of Dan's taunting had come back to haunt him. Danny could now rub it in Dan's face that he was alive, making money, making a life for himself.
So that's how I ghosted Kevin Jonas. Mom, I made it. Not responding to his text. I'm too busy getting checks. You're impressed, cause I ghosted Kevin Jonas. I'm not even trying to flex, but he's probably so perplexed. Yeah, he's stressed, cause I ghosted Kevin Jonas. They said I'd never be someone, look at me now. Ghosting Kevin Jonas, making mama proud. Even now it's probably still haunting him, wondering when I'm gonna respond to him.
And now Dan was the one being ignored. Much like how Danny was able to become an entity on the internet as a ghost, with the help of Witch Mom, Dan's anger over this disrespect kept him tethered to the mortal plane, and with him, Neil. Together they were able to communicate through technology, though not as effectively as Danny, and in 2015, they were finally able to get through to Danny. Though of course he ghosted them, not responding to their texts, he was too busy getting checks. This sounds like the end of the story, doesn't it? Danny won, and the two brothers' souls are lost, forever trying to get their own justice. With Danny pretending to be her son's, Witch Mom didn't think anything was suspicious. Her son was alive after a terrifying, horrific submarine accident. She should feel lucky. But something never sat quite right with her. Her sweet Neil wasn't as sweet anymore. Could he be acting weirdly after experiencing such a trauma? Sure, that makes perfect sense. But a mother's intuition is never wrong. Shout out to moms, by the way. And speaking of shoutouts,
Oh yeah, seamless transition.
3 Drinks has been posting on TikTok, apparently. Yeah, mark that off your 2024 bingo card. And wowza, it's some weird stuff. What else do you expect from 3 Drinks, though? There are pictures, actually. I have a vague theory about what these mean, but I'm not too sure about it, and so I'm gonna leave that for another time. What caught my eye now was the caption. To all those normies out there, you saw some typical typos. Everyone has those. What is there to theorize over? But critical thinkers like you and I see something more. We see a code. Let's take all the words we have spelled wrong, other than the words with Z, because that's just 3 Drinks style. We have hello, missing an L. We have these, missing an E. We have I am glad, missing an M. And video, missing an O. So we have these letters. Read them with me, critical thinkers. L, E, M, O. That doesn't really mean anything, does it? Oh my god! Something else I noticed was he name-dropped places, which is odd. Did you know that one of the tallest men is in Belgium? In a museum, because he's dead. Julius Koch. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm not German. Clocking in and just a little over 8 feet tall. He's held in the Museum of Natural History in Mons, Belgium. I don't really have much to say about this, but I thought it was interesting, and I would really love it if you critical thinkers came up with your own thoughts and theories about what the deeper meaning behind this caption is. My theories so far have focused heavily on the past, but the past is what builds the future. It's necessary for us to get an understanding of who Danny is so that we can theorize what he'll do next. A couple years ago, when I wrote my first video, no one was suspecting Danny of anything. Then I released my video and he got sloppy. He got too cocky. But I know he's planning something, and that's where you all come in. This is my cry to you, critical thinkers. Please, keep your eyes open to Danny's plots. Don't get distracted by his tactics. Stay focused. Reveal the truth. Boobies! 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 Sorry, it just came to my realization that I'm just gonna have a bunch of voice clips of me going, boobies!